Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, a show where you come for your regular geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond, it's DL. What up, DL?
How's it going, Tommy? Call
Hey,
sign Armsy. What's going on? How are you?
Not Hangman, I'm Armsy.
What is your call sign? I think I know yours, actually.
What's your call
I just
sign?
gave it to you. I don't know. I guess that's a good question. I asked without knowing my own.
Stoner, probably.
Yes, the doctor.
The doctor.
No, that's too easy. I don't know. I gotta, by the end of the episode,
By the end of the episode, we just
I
go
need
with
to
the
know.
call
I
sign.
need to have a call sign.
I love it. What's been happening, buddy?
Dude, not much, man. I've just been really excited to dig into a bunch of new content that I haven't actually been able to dig into. But I'm enjoying the new stuff that's piling up that I will be able to eventually watch when I'm less busy.
There's a lot out right now.
Yeah, there is.
It's kind of ironic that I just put a call out to our listeners for
new
to
shows.
send me new shows, and now like 3 have dropped all in the same week. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh my god!
Well, it's like as soon as we thought we didn't have anything, and they all come.
And now I don't have time to watch any of them. It's the worst
Agreed.
possible timing.
Agreed.
What's been happening? What have you been up to?
Not all that much, man. I've been then our main topic. I've been watching Stranger Things. I really like it. It's freaking good.
So I've only seen the first episode.
So you're in.
I've seen one because
Remind me where it ends.
Well, my
Stranger Things spoilers.
Yeah, well, my partner, we finally got up to finishing season 3. She basically binged all evening on like Friday night. She was absolutely broken on Saturday. And then the first episode we watched yesterday, I want to say, and it finishes with the girl basically being sort of like turned into like
Oh God. Okay, yeah. So it's someone does
crumpled like a
little
chips
paper
bag,
ball.
right? Yeah.
Fucking gruesome, eh?
So it's like my initial observations, and I've only seen one episode, so I don't know something.
Yeah.
It's seeming to move away a little bit from the friendships that kind of made it for me, and it's more just about the kind of horror elements.
It's definitely more about the horror, but I think it's too early for you to call that.
Sure.
That's what I'll say there.
Oh, I imagine
And
they'll
also,
all come
like,
back together.
And naturally, they're all spread out, so you're gonna have some more individual-based storylines until the story contracts again.
Lucas, he's going to be a good-looking lad.
I think he kind of already is.
Mm.
I think he's got the best career outside
Big
of
time.
Maybe 11. She might beat him, but
I reckon she'll do well.
I think honestly, most of the people in this show, minus maybe Jonathan
Okay.
and maybe
All right.
Dustin, will have a long career with diverse roles.
Spicy take.
Yeah.
Will Byers, really don't like the actor.
Sorry, Will Byers. No, I forgot about him. He will not.
I don't think Dustin will.
What do you mean?
You're right with Dustin. Dustin won't have a long
I
career,
think he'll
in my
just be
opinion.
typecast. Like,
Yeah,
if
big
anything, he'll just keep being this guy.
Probably.
Whereas, Harrington and
I feel like he's this generation's. What's the chubby one in the Goonies called?
yeah,
I feel like he's that guy.
Rolsey or whatever.
Yeah,
What's
whatever
his
it's
name?
called. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's not that he's not that goofy, but he's just too perfect for this role.
Yeah.
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I think everyone else probably has a good shot of like broadening out.
Mike, do you think he's very lanky at the moment?
Mike, indie films.
I'm with you. Yeah.
I could see him in a bunch of indie films.
I
Doesn't mean
imagine-
he'll be a movie star, but I could see him being like, the character guy.
I can imagine him having a bit of a breakdown like Shia LaBeouf. He's
Yeah,
he's the next generation's
He's
like...
a bit too like earnest.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy, but it's like it makes sense for his character. Like he fell in love with this stunted.
Stunted.
superhero.
That's the word we used, yes.
Stunted.
Yes.
But no, man, I really like it. I think it's kicking
Nice.
ass. Yeah, it's doing
Nice. What else have you been up to?
well. Then Obi Wan episode 3, which I know you saw.
Have I seen episode 3?
You have, surely.
What happens in episode 3?
I don't want to spoil it.
Is that the one with Vader?
Vader is definitely in it,
Is it the one where
like full on in it. Like,
Obi-Wan gets burned?
well, he puts him in the fire. Yes.
Yes, I have seen it.
Yeah.
I'm caught up on Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
At last. I'm caught up on something.
Yeah, that was like really because it was just like he had so much hate. You could
Yeah, it
feel
was
he's like,
amazing.
fuck this. I was like, man, he's not even gonna like try and talk to him.
Full
He wants
spoilers-
to kill him.
Full spoilers for all these things we're talking about, by the way.
I
Like,
mean, at this point,
we should have probably called that out at the top, maybe.
I did call it out for Stranger Things. I didn't for Obi-Wan, but
We'll call it in the time codes, guys. There will be time codes in the description. If you want to jump around, feel free. We will make sure that spoilers are called out everywhere.
and then my classic Sunday hungover activity:
Ooh.
find a Western on any one of my streaming platforms that I haven't seen. I did find the
you find?
High Plains Drifter.
Ooh.
Clint Eastwood. It was his first Western that he directed and starred in
Right.
after all his spaghetti Westerns by who's that guy? Leone.
Oh, yeah.
who did all the spaghetti westerns with him.
Yeah.
He was his first one that he did himself. He returns to the Western world. It's actually quite. I haven't finished it yet, but it was so far quite good. I mean, it's old. They're all old, right? So they're all.
You didn't finish it? You're a hangover. What? Did you fall asleep?
No, I ran out of time. Dinner time. Then Gil and I watched something together. I couldn't swing it.
Couldn't quite finish it.
I couldn't swing.
How
I
far
will
in you?
finish it.
How far in you?
Like 3/4.
3/4. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's it's a nice little western about like I think it's kind of an allegory for like, how basically the people the settlers kind of destroyed what was there, even the things they themselves created. It's like an allegory for what the West is in general. It's like a microcosm of that in this little town. It's an interesting story, but it's definitely dated.
So
all these are.
It's like a self-perpetuating cycle. Like it just destroys itself.
Yeah,
inevitably.
like hey, they came in and destroyed Native Americans and all the culture before that, and then even the next version of the West is destroying the old one, and it's all this like kind of greed and
it's a case of humanity is never static. It's constantly trying to progress.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I didn't finish it, but it was as I said, but it was interesting.
Classic DL.
Yeah, it was interesting.
If it was a heady western, which I don't think exists, it would be like your perfect movie.
Yeah, it would
like
be.
I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I don't think heady westerns really exist, but like
No.
so like
I was trying to think of an example, and all my head came up with was Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is not heady.
tragic westerns do. I like a tragic.
got a bit
I
of-
like a tragic
yeah,
show
they
as
do,
well,
they do.
and it's that's a very big trope in the
What's-
western. No, just it was a good one. Anyway,
Nice.
and for those that care about westerns, which is a very small percentage.
Yeah,
of
it's
the
literally
population.
you.
So I will stop talking about it. What do you?
I'm keeping up hair metal, and you're keeping up westerns.
What have you? Yeah, seriously. What have you been watching, my friend?
I've got a bit of a diverse one this week. I thought. Well, I mean, I spent a lot of time with a partner, so we've been doing different weird stuff. So I thought I'd start with one, which we actually went away a week or so ago for my birthday. And I forgot to mention it last time, and I thought I'd mention it because one of the other ones we're going to talk about is a bit of a guilty pleasure movie.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a remake of a guilty pleasure movie. Did you watch I think it's 2016 remake of Point Break?
No. Did
Good,
anybody?
don't.
Yeah.
Do not.
Did
Terrible
anybody?
fucking movie. Like, just bad all
Of
around.
course it was.
But it's like, it's nothing like the original. The original's really like a small story about dudes who like to surf, but they rob banks. This one's like, these dudes are traveling the world. They've got like a multi-billionaire sponsor. They're trying to hit like the biggest waves, and then it's awful. Absolutely. And the worst bit was I managed to fall asleep with like 30 minutes to go. So I was like, oh God, I don't have to watch the rest of this.
So it didn't pull off the Top Gun.
And then the partner fell asleep too. So she made me watch this half an hour the next day anyway.
Bummer.
I was like, fuck, man.
Bummer.
It's awful. Anyway, good things I've been watching. Have you seen on Netflix, they have that sort of semi-new show where he's going a bit out there, the new Letterman show. My guest needs no introduction.
Yeah, I've seen it on and off.
Yeah.
Depending on if I like the guest.
Yeah,
I'll watch
well, we watched the one with Ryan Reynolds this week.
Yeah, I've
and
seen it. It's
gave
good.
me a real interesting perspective on him.
Yeah, he's way cooler than I thought he was.
He's super mellow. I thought
Yeah,
he was going to be like hyperactive.
No, and he's not only mellow, he's like very thoughtful.
Yes, very much
And,
so. He's clearly had an interesting upbringing.
Not only that, like you could tell he's a good. Yeah, I think as far as Hollywood people go,
Yeah, absolutely.
he seems like he's a good person.
Canadian. That's what it is.
It helps.
Yeah, I guess it has
It
a
helps.
lot. He apologizes for bumping you.
Yeah, before I saw it,
Wait, for you bumping him.
I didn't realize how much of an appreciation for like actual film he has. Like,
Oh, so much.
I could have easily seen him just be like a good-looking dude who just
Yeah.
was pretty funny and made it.
Yep.
But he seemed to really be somebody who like, and it's really judgmental of me to say, but like who respected, like really worked on his craft.
Big time.
And it probably didn't come as naturally to him as he makes it look. And yeah, I came out of it with a lot more respect for him.
I think so too. And
Yeah.
a lot of his sort of family life as well seems very, I mean, humble's the wrong word. He's a multimillionaire. But like
Well, it was humble.
it felt more humble than you could expect. Like the house didn't look like
oh,
it
you mean
was-
his stuff?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant his upbringing. I was like, he was. Very
His
humble,
upbringing was definitely humble, but
Yeah.
like the house he looks like he's in looks kind of like a normal spot. Like you
very,
move-
very nice, but like
Yeah,
understated.
Of course,
Yeah.
understated for what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe the words I'm looking for. I enjoyed it. I came away with a good appreciation of him.
Yeah.
My partner then watched the one on cardiovascular and Cardio B, and it was
Cardi B?
I turned it off. I forced it, so it's terrible.
I'm telling you, it depends on the guest for sure.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Although saying that though, Cardi B, interestingly, is really into politics. She did like a lot of
for
stuff.
better or worse.
Yeah,
I don't know how insightful she is about it, but
anyway, let's not talk about that. A couple of other bits really quickly. Then I mentioned last week I'd been watching a lot of YouTube. That's continued a little bit this week.
a little bit.
A cool channel I've found, kind of knew about, never really paid that much attention to, is a channel called Death Battle. And
Tommy is single-handedly financing
I really-
all the people that have 10-minute plus YouTube videos because that's the only way to monetize
like
your
20.
videos, apparently.
He's like 20.
Who watches them? Tommy.
I do.
Codename Armsy.
I tell you what,
Call sign Armsy.
call sign. You should genuinely watch some of them. They pick two, a little bit like the podcast I was on the other week. Plug for my crossover with the boys over at Super Bracket Bros when we talked about John Wick versus Worf. This one does so many, and it's really interesting because they create digitally like a battle between two fictional characters. So, for example, one that I watched recently was the Winter Soldier. We know Bucky Barnes from the MCU, and the Red Hood, who is one of Batman's old Robins, who went kind of psychotic a little bit after the Joker basically killed him. Really good. And that one was actually done with like proper actors. So like some of them they do where it's like all animated, really fun. Some of them they do that. It's good, very good.
I'm just impressed with the depths of YouTube.
It goes so deep.
It's like
So deep.
Who would have thought? You know,
Man,
who would have thought?
And they've got millions of followers, like 10 plus million followers. Unreal. Last one I'm going to mention then is my actual guilty pleasure movie that I watched this week. And it's one that I really, really wanted to talk about at some point because I listened to a podcast about it the other day and it was just so much fun. It's Face Off with Nick Cage and John Travolta. What's that noise you're making
My
about?
dad made me watch this movie.
Really?
And I did not want to.
What?
And I watched it. And all the reasons I didn't want to were validated. I was like, let's watch, like, I don't know, Taxi Driver or some other freaking cool movie that I hadn't seen. And he's like, no, dude, Face Off. You got to see it. And I was just like, I never bought in.
Face.
And I never bought in. And I continue to not buy in. And I will.
You're not bought into Face Off?
No, it's just like, it was
The craziness.
It's just so ridiculous.
It's like a proto Michael Bay movie that's actually good.
Yuck.
It's amazing.
Ugh.
It's real creepy some of the times when Nick Cage is John Travolta and he's flirting with his daughter. Weird. Very strange.
Yeah, I can't even like honestly recall it all that well, but I just remember. I mean, maybe I can give it another go, and because my dad's not annoying me to watch it, I'll actually give it a chance.
I think you'll like it.
But
I think you'll like it.
anyway,
Look, let's shimmy on, shall we? Moving on to the next segment of the show where we talk a little bit about the news. Did you hear this week?
I did.
DL, did you hear this week? It's Morbin time.
Morbin.
So the short version of the story is that, and now this is great actually. This is a fabulous bit of
Morbid?
news. Yes. So Morbius had a groundswell.
Morbius. Oh, I did hear about this.
Morbius had a groundswell of love on the internet, but it wasn't really love. It was more than making fun of the movie, and it actually got a re-release in cinemas because of it, and it made all the officials, all the bigwigs at Sony think something big's happening with this movie, and then they released it, and it made $85,000.
So they
For a
paid
wide
for
cinema release.
They paid for all of it to
Yep.
like
be re-released in cinemas. They sent it back out to all of them. Amazing.
what idiots.
And they also were like making jokes. So writing a script for the second one. I just love seeing old mate Gerard Leto punked like this. It's
I don't
fantastic.
think he cared. The funny part to me is that like, who do they have running these companies?
Unbelievable.
Like,
Someone-
just watch the movie.
Someone just saw the social media feeds and went, "Oh my god, it's Morbin time."
Yeah, like just watch the movie. You'll
So
know that
bad.
you shouldn't make another one.
So bad.
Sit through the piece of poop that you created.
Or don't just listen to our episode on it. Plug for our episode on Morpheus.
Yeah,
Morpheus? Morbius. I don't even know the name of it anymore. I'm lost. What's happening?
I don't know, man.
Look, anyway,
Sorry.
did you hear this week? Chris Hemsworth posted on his Instagram just a single image of what are those chopping block things called they have on film sets? I always forget what they're called.
Pac-Man?
Yeah, the Pac-Man thing on set. That
You
just
gave
says-
me a Pac-Man
It
gesture.
just says Furiosa.
I know what you mean. Oh.
It looks like they're moving ahead with the Furiosa movie, which has been in talks for. When did Mad Max come out? Like 2015.
Who did that? Who'd you say did
It was Hemsworth.
Hemsworth did
It's
it?
Hemsworth, so he must be in it.
So Gibson or Hardy and Hemsworth.
No, because Hardy isn't coming back for it. It's a prequel for Furiosa, who is Charlize Theron in the first movie. So I assume they're just going to show how she lost her arm. I'm pretty much that's pretty much.
She's way older though. I mean, she could. Still
It's a
pull it
prequel,
off.
so I don't know if they're going to recast her or how it's going to work.
Yeah.
But she looks great, man. She
could still pull it off. Yeah,
She can pull it off. She's a good looking girl. She'll do fine. But
it
I'm
always
keen for
bugs
that,
me though
man.
when the prequel they look like fucking older. I'm like, this it takes me out of it a bit.
That's a really weird thing to.
I don't know. It's just like it does. I'm just like,
Although saying that,
because it makes me feel like, okay, this wasn't actually planned. They did this because the first one was good.
Oh, yeah.
you know, just like it all
Every time.
adds up. Yeah.
every time. But that's Hollywood, baby.
Yeah, it's true.
It does well. Let's do 7 sequels and 2 prequels.
Yeah, I get it.
Speaking of sequels, did you also hear this week that Deadpool 3 is in the news because the writers have come out and said that it is going to be R-rated. They are not going to shy away from vulgarness or violence. Why are you laughing?
Weren't they all?
Well, I don't know. It's Disney now. So they moved over from Fox, came over with that merger.
Yeah, but there's no way you do a Deadpool
couldn't.
movie without.
I'd love it if they did like a Deadpool movie, but everything was censored. And because he's obviously breaking the fourth wall, he knew that he was just getting more and more angry the whole way through. And the last line of the movie is him just being like, "Fuck!"
That's how you could tell how proud he was of Deadpool.
Absolutely.
In that thing you were talking about earlier, and my next guest.
Yeah, the Letterman thing. Yeah, you could. Do you have any news this week, DL?
I have tons, dude.
Hit me up.
RE4 remake.
Who?
The RE4 remake.
Who?
No one else cares. Resident Evil 4 remake is coming. It's the worst kept secret among the fandom. We've known about this game for 3 years. It was very obvious.
So when you say fandom, you mean you?
It's a remake of a game made like literally 8 years ago that stands up. So it can't just be me. It's also the most.
Made 8 years? Is that it?
Nah,
surely
probably it's actually way
I
longer.
thought it was early 2000s.
It was a GameCube exclusive. But my point is like,
Jesus.
it's the most ported game ever.
Oh, wow,
it's on
really?
every system. So my point is, it's definitely not just me.
Didn't Grand Theft Auto 5 release like last week, and it's made it all the way from PS3 to PS5? How mad is that?
5.
Yeah, that's two full generations.
That is funny.
That's like my entire youth.
I bet you RE4 is the same way though.
Maybe.
Yeah, I honestly bet it is. But anyway, it's released. It looks exciting. Some new gameplay dynamics, some new spins on some old, bosses. We didn't get much, but I'm ecstatic. It's got a release date as well.
When's the release date?
March 23rd. This is a really good game. If you haven't played this before,
Dude, it came out in 2005. Wow.
Legendary.
That's 17 years old.
That game
That's almost
stands-
legal to drink in this country.
That game stands up today. You play it today, it's still good.
Isn't that the one where you punch a rock?
No, that's the next one.
Okay, that's 5.
They went a bit too far.
5's when it went down.
They went a bit too far. I mean, 5 was still a good game, but they you can.
What happened?
You can boulder
in
punch.
Resident Evil 5?
he's the true codename Armsy, the Chris Redfield.
Boulder punch.
He's the true call sign. Anyway. What else have I? There was also a trailer about Resident. There's a lot of Resident Evil news this week. You sent it over to me actually.
The new series for Netflix.
Yeah, apparently it takes place on 2 timelines, one before and one after. I'm very confused. They can never just stick to the normal story, can they? They have to change it all. Anyway, I'm intrigued, but probably going to be disappointed. Did you see also that Netflix shared a new look at Guillermo? Why can I never say his name? Guillermo del Toro's long-awaited 8-episode horror series, Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix.
Interesting.
That should be fun.
That sounds very spacey wacy, kind of like.
Sounds like
The Scary Door.
Sounds like I'm in.
What's it about? Is there any synopsis?
It's a horror anthology series. Lots of people in it. No synopsis to be found.
Lots of people, as in lots of names?
Lots of people in it. Yeah.
Big names.
Rupert Grint.
Oh, wow. Big name. Ron Weasley's back.
Eric Andre, don't know who he is. Sophia Boutella, Ismael Cruz. I don't know if you know these people. I only knew Rupert Grint.
Okay.
Ronald
They're
Weasley.
all ringing bells.
Ronald
Okay,
Weasley is in it.
Okay. Think he have his broken wand? We need to come back to our Harry Potter anthology. We've done one, and then we stopped. Maybe we did one a year.
We did one.
We did one, and then
that
stopped.
was enough. I've seen those movies so many times, but they're always worth a rewatch.
I like No, I didn't like them. I like the first four.
They're enjoyable to watch. You know, it's nostalgic, right?
Maybe we can talk about how my hatred grows as they go.
Yeah,
through
that's a good lens to put it under.
Yeah, okay,
Um,
we'll come back. What do we do the one in 2021 or 2022? Because we'll need to do one soon.
Yeah, well, we'll have to do one. You know,
We'll come back
in the
to
next
it.
couple of weeks. Anyway, Sweet Tooth season 2. Do you remember Sweet Tooth?
Oh my gosh, they're coming back.
Did you see it?
I didn't. You
It
did.
was actually quite good.
Okay.
Yeah, I quite liked it. It was one of the few good Netflix shows.
It's based on a comic book property, right? And
It
was produced by, I believe, Robert Downey Jr.
Was it?
I believe so.
God, he's so into animals.
That's creepy.
He is. You know, he's got like a zoo.
What other animals? Oh my god, yeah.
And he does the Doolittle
He
thing.
did the Doolittle movie. Oh my
Yeah.
god, maybe maybe
got-
that's his weird fetish.
I don't know, he's a caring, loving guy who loves animals.
Mm-hmm.
But Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power hasn't even premiered yet,
Okay.
right? But the directors are talking about how they know what the last shot of the end of the series will be. Not the end of the season.
Oh,
the
wow.
end of the series.
How many did they book in
So
the end?
they're-
It's like
4 or 5, I don't know, something crazy. But the point being, they've already mapped it out. You know, multiple plot lines over the which is pretty exciting
it's great.
in the sense that
They've got a vision.
I love when there's someone in the command tower.
Same.
You know, you could tell that Game of Thrones had that until
To begin
until they didn't, and then it became very clear that they didn't. Right, but. So that's all I got. That was quite a bit of news for me. Usually, usually it's
that's
a
4 times
high
as
and
many as you
dry.
normally bring.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find out when we released the Harry Potter episode. Did we release it? Are we sure we released one?
We did.
I'm looking through.
I
our
remember the
episodes.
troll.
Oh wait, yeah, there we go. It was Hang on, 2021. It was August. It's almost time to do our next one.
You know, we just had an itch.
we had an itch. We needed to
had-
scratch.
When you had an itch, we needed to scratch. When we got him that you saw, dude.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Well, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
I did a YouTube video this week. So if you guys want to watch a cool YouTube video about the new Thor trailer, which has some, well, not so subtle references to Harry Potter in it, jump on our YouTube channel. It's also Podcast Assemble. We would love to see you there.
We'll tag it.
Did you guys hear any news this week? We love it when you, speaking of tagging, tag us in memes or you tag us in posts. Let us know, guys.
Give us a follow.
We've got
Or a mention.
We've got some fantastic correspondence coming up at the end of the show. We are at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Hit us up. We will find you. DL,
Yes.
do you want to preface this week's main topic?
I do.
Highway to the danger zone. Yes.
Despite our best efforts, we watched this movie.
I didn't really try that hard not to in the end.
I guess that's true.
I went opening week.
I guess we actually just crumbled.
Yeah,
They just
Crumbled
they
under
just
the weight of
peppered us with
IMDb
trailers,
scores.
and we just crumbled.
I'm pretty sure I saw that every single movie I saw after lockdown. the
I
trailer.
was fully expecting. I already told you this.
You
The
thought it was
trailer
gonna be-
within the movie. I was fully expecting to watch a Top Gun trailer as I
Pre-movie.
sat pre Top Gun Maverick.
Come and
movie.
watch it again.
I was
Why
down.
not?
No, I was not down. But
Well, then, do you want to give me your stupid plot summary for this?
yeah, I will. So Top Gun Maverick is a jet-fueled magic mustache ride that does what few 30-year late sequels can do. Take the good from an 80s goofy cult classic and augment it into an objectively good modern movie in 2022.
That's high praise.
And the skinny jeans still fit nice and snug.
We'll talk about Tom Cruise in a minute. All right, I'll give you mine. Senior adrenaline junkie given unfettered access to impressionable young minds, forcing them into near-death experiences. Also, they made a Top Gun movie.
That's also just the military.
Oh my god.
just
Oh my god.
summary.
Look, do you want to guess me the IMDb score for this?
I know what it is because I saw it, but I don't know. 8.7.
Oh my god, you got it right. Who would have guessed? All right, do you want to guess the Rotten Tomatoes score?
Given the 8.7, I don't know this, but I'm sure it's high. 97.
You knew that. You knew
Is it actually 97?
It's 97.
I was going to go 98. I didn't know.
I honestly think that's the highest Rotten
Yeah.
Tomatoes score we've ever had.
I haven't seen the Rotten Tomatoes on it.
That was higher than Heat. What on earth?
Yeah, recency bias, huh?
Probably, actually.
Yeah.
All right, then. Finally, the Metacritic score. What do you think?
81.
Oh, close. It's 78. That's pretty high, though. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, given the other two, I was like, it had to be higher than usual.
And I mentioned last week when we briefly touched on it that this is so much more highly rated than the original, and recency bias, of course. But like
What
that's
is
a
the original? Let's see.
6.7 or
6.7?
I believe last time I checked, which comes in swing. Clearly goes in phases because people will go back and watch it and be like, oh yeah, this is great or not.
Yep, 6.9 now.
6.9, there you go. So it's gone up since last time. But it's a case of this is objectively, by every measure, a better movie than the original one, which is baffling.
Yeah, I mean the original one, Tom Cruise has said it wasn't supposed to be real.
Okay.
It was supposed to be almost like a satire on the military.
Oh,
and he'd
we'll
never
talk about satires.
And he'd never make a movie. He is quoted as saying he'd never make a sequel because that wouldn't be like appropriate.
Other than the 12 Mission Impossible sequels.
No.
For Top Gun.
For Top Gun, yeah. He said it was.
I thought you meant a
it was
general sequel.
It was supposed to be like a satire kind of. It's not supposed to be a real thing. It's supposed to be this kind of satire fake thing.
Well,
and that it would be irresponsible, he said, to make a sequel.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's made one.
Yeah,
but it was a little bit more, grounded in reality.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. This is obviously director Joseph Kosinski, who has a bit of a history of this. He did the Tron Legacy.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's a Rebutuation king.
He is a king of it. I don't know if you saw. Yeah.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Did you see Tron Legacy when it came out?
I think I did, but I didn't finish it. Olivia Wilde's in it.
Yeah, outside of the janky CGI, I think it was pretty good. Like I had a lot of fun with it.
Jeff Bridges?
Yes, Jeff Bridges came back for it. Yeah, and he also did Oblivion, which you'll know, which also had Tom Cruise in it.
That's a terrible movie.
The cast for this, man, banging cast, right? So we're talking Tom Cruise, we're talking kind of Val Kilmer, we're talking Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly, we're talking John Hamm, we're talking Ed Harris, for God's sake, Ed goddamn Harris, Mr. Man in Black in Westworld himself.
Yep.
Now I'm going to bring back a favorite section of the show, which we've given a little bit of a break to recently. But do you want to tell for me, Dre, which of these you think is the goofiest of the IMDb pictures? Now, our current MVP, as has been for a little while now because we forgot about this for a couple of weeks, is Alexander Skarsgård, who you well know as Pantless on the red carpet, which I am still a huge fan of that picture. Now, this IMDb
we know you
picture,
are. You see, you saw those legs, Codename Armsy. And you're like, I know what
one thing
missing.
I can't get. I just can't grow my carbs. This is the opponent for this week. The opponent for this week is Morbin Khan. And he is credited as Mission Scientist, uncredited. Now, he just looks like a dude whose picture was taken when the first movie came out. He looks like this from 1986.
What's up with the background? Huh?
Oh, it's amazing.
It's like a pastel photo background.
It looks like he's at like a a high school reunion.
I was gonna say he looks like the substitute teacher who got a photo at photo day at school.
It is just an unbelievable picture. The
also,
suit's
those eyes.
Too big. The suit's too big. The eyes are dead. And if you go through his actual IMDb pictures, all of them,
and the smile as well, it's like a barely. It's like he knows something.
He's seen things.
He looks like he knows something.
He's seen things.
Kind of looks like a toad. I'm getting creeped out, dude.
Yeah, he's a creepy dude. Wait till I'm gonna show you. I wouldn't normally do this, but this is his second IMDb picture, and it's amazing. It's just fantastic.
What color is that?
I don't know. I didn't know there was a color like that.
Oh my god.
So we got to say, who then out of Pantsless Alexander Skarsgård,
the eyes, dude.
Pantsless Alexander Skarsgård, or stuck in the 80s Morbin Khan, who has the goofiest IMDb picture for you?
I don't want to see Morbin Khan again, so I'm reticent to do this. But I vote for Morbin Khan.
I'm voting for Morbin Khan. I think it's the best. That's the epitome of goofy IMDb picture for me. Like, it takes me all the way back to
because it's also like halfway professional.
Yeah. But not quite. Not quite there. It's like right on the cusp. Yeah. Reminds me of our all-time MVP.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah.
Ray?
Yeah, Ray Botanica. Reminds me of that a little bit. All right, let's actually talk about this stupid movie. Yeah. Talk to me about the plot. What actually happens in this movie?
Well, I guess.
Are we doing spoilers and non-spoilers?
Yeah, so we're gonna give you the high-level overview. We get really quickly introduced to Maverick, who's still, despite all 30 years, the time has passed.
All the years,
all the years that they've waited, basically the exact amount of time since the last movie came out. This is the setting for how much time has passed.
Makes
here.
sense.
And
time passes.
Yeah, but you never know.
In a linear fashion.
It doesn't mean that it's gonna be neck and neck, right, day for day. Anyway, he's doing manned flight tests. He's no longer at Top Gun,
He
right?
is.
He's doing manned flight tests and all
Of a
sorts
Mach
of
10 airplane?
yeah, military research facility stuff to like create new planes, and he gets to fly them. And is called out of that not before he hits Mach 10.5 speed. And
Apparently not a real thing.
yeah, I don't. It didn't look real.
No.
Apparently
Apparently not at all.
or it didn't sound real. It didn't not necessarily.
Apparently the
look real.
fastest a manned jet can go is Mach 3. Except for spaceships. Spaceships can get past that, but a manned flight can only get to Mach 3.
that you know of.
that you know
It's
of.
classified.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway, so not before thwarting another general's attempt at, I guess, cutting the budget of this new manned plane. He thwarts it by doing
Then he breaks the plane.
a Maverick style,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm
I'm
gonna
not
go
going to listen.
faster.
I'm going to go faster even though they canceled the test to
This
put
is the first 5 minutes, man.
Yeah.
Come on, speed up. What's the
All right,
plot?
sorry. We can go,
Jesus.
you can cut all this. Well, it matters though because basically he's been exposed as a relic, right? Like they don't really have
Yes.
manned planes anymore. He's a relic of an old age. It's all drones, and you know that gets the point gets across that he's not the future in the first kind of 10, 20 minutes of the movie, and but luckily he's called back to Top Gun to help. Basically,
Highway to the... Go on, sorry.
in a mysterious call, which he finds that doesn't really involve him doing anything other than training the next generation of Top
Yes.
Gun pilots for a mission that's basically impossible.
Maverick's back, baby. He's
impossible.
back. And yeah, he's basically been called back to be the teacher.
For like a death
The
mission.
student becomes the teacher.
For a suicide mission.
For a suicide mission, effectively, which is super interesting. And
where he's teaching none other than...
well, they bring back, I think
Yeah.
it's 12 of the best, the current crop of Top Gun pilots, and he has to whittle them down to half.
Is Top Gun a real thing?
Apparently so, yeah.
They call it Top Gun?
I saw an Instagram
Special
thing on it
combat
today of a dude
operations or
who
whatever.
was his dad was a Top Gun.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's. I think it's he was in Top Gun, but he was a Top Gun. That's what I'm going to say here. Yeah. So and then just happens to be that Miles Teller is playing the son of. We were assuming everyone's seen Top Gun, right? Everyone's seen fucking Top Gun.
Yeah,
He's playing the son of Maverick's old wingman.
Spoilers.
Spoilers for that film in 1986, which came out before even I was born. Goose, his fallen former wingman Goose.
Who died in a training exercise with
That's why I
Maverick.
said fallen. Yes,
But it's important. that
it
it
is
was a
important.
Training
And there's a lot of bitterness there, still, isn't there?
There is. And before we get into any more about the movie, I guess, when did you see the first Top Gun?
I was very young when I saw the Top
Yeah.
Gun. Very young, like as in it was quite a formative movie.
And what did you think of it?
I really enjoyed it because I was big into like very early video games at the time, and a lot of the early video games were around like flying sim type things.
Yeah.
We've already talked about a very, very, very old Star Wars video game that was just pretty much flying the Millennium Falcon side to side and up and down.
Yeah.
All that type of stuff I used to love, and when I watched this movie, it kind of gave me those sorts of adrenaline filled, thrill ride-ness. So I loved it. What about yourself?
I think I saw it in college
Okay.
because everyone was talking about like all the, a lot of people were like talking about it as a cult classic must watch. And yeah, I enjoyed it, but I was like, there was so much of it where I tuned out with the soundtrack and the long make out scenes and the...
Well, let's talk about the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the nostalgia in general, right?
Yeah.
The thing that I said to you when I first came out of this movie was that it lent on the nostalgia just the right amount.
Like, which was very little.
Just the right amount.
Which was very little, I think.
Well, they had enough. They had 2 or 3 of the songs. Even the love interest is technically from the original film.
Is she?
So she's not in it, but it's called out that there's a bit where Goose is talking to his wife. I forget it, Meg Ryan, and apparently she's like, "Oh, where's Maverick at?" And Goose is like, he's off with this chick or whatever, who apparently at the time would be underage if you get their ages lined up to now. Let's not talk about it. But it's interesting that she was called out, and I like the fact that they were like, Goose's son had a mustache. That's stupid and nonsense.
Well, I guess
But I
it
liked
wasn't
it.
like, I guess the nostalgic elements weren't like core to the film.
Sure,
I think that's the
probably
point.
100%.
It was just enough little like flavor.
They shook my nerves and they rattled my brain.
Yes.
It was great, man. I really enjoyed it. I thought the way that they baked that into the beginning of the movie, and it sort of tapered out a bit towards the end, and it was almost showing the progression of the people who were now flying the planes. They had to be new peoples, but then Maverick's teaching them, so you've got that little bit of old school in there too. It's great, man. I loved it.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was a good movie. And I guess the things I thought it did really well, like the personalities of the supporting cast.
Give us a bit about the performances then.
Yeah, the supporting cast, like it was well casted, and they all had personalities. And like for like a movie that could have been like really goofy, like the dialogue was good and funny, and I guess like said by lesser actors, it could have been bad.
Who's your favorite secondary character?
Ooh, that's tough because there's a lot.
Yes, there are a lot.
I think it's I hate to say it, man, but I think it's gotta be Hangman.
Yeah, I said it too. That's what I said.
It's gotta be Hangman.
I love that he was quite a juxtaposition to sort of everyone else. He was just the biggest prick there.
Yeah,
like,
but it was good.
They were all
and he
stuck
knew he
up
was a prick.
And they all knew they were the best of the best. But he was like, "I'm doing this. I'm winning everything. I don't give a shit.
Like I don't need friends. I'm the best."
Exactly. And I really enjoyed that character. I think apparently he was supposed to get the Miles Teller role, I believe. But I think Miles Teller was way better as Goose's son. They even kind of looked the same with the blonde tips.
Well, I think, and also I just think that Miles Teller, like that guy, like for the role, for what they were without spoiling it, Miles Teller is definitely more conservative. You know, not a, like I guess like I think he plays that role better than like Hangman. It's good they reversed it.
Yeah. Well, there's
short.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a great quote from him, Glenn Powell, who plays Hangman. He says like they do the beach. There's obviously a beach scene like there was in the first one,
but just enough nostalgia.
Slightly different, slightly different. Just enough nostalgia, bringing it to the future. But there's a beach scene.
They're all so ripped.
They are jacked, and Miles
so cut.
And Miles Teller apparently rocks up and he takes his shirt off and he's jacked. And this dude Glenn Powell's like, "Oh my god, I thought you were a character actor." He'd expected to be so ripped.
Wait, when they showed up
when they rocked their shirts off. What did you
That's
think
actually
of,
like a very Hangman line.
big time. Actually, he fell into the character well, didn't he? What did you think of Tom Cruise taking his shirt off?
I didn't really notice.
It was a bit.
Was he a bit flabby?
It wasn't great.
I mean, compared to those guys, he's still
in great
50
shape for his
years
age.
old.
He's in great shape for his age. I'm not saying he's not. I feel like they worked with Shadow very well for that.
I was gonna say I don't remember seeing much.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, the movie was just stereotypes, but like it worked really well for what they were. You know.
Yeah.
What do you think of the pacing, man? Like we jumping around a little bit from scene to scene, but I think because it worked so well, you can do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, what I thought about the pacing was that, as I scrolled to my notes, honestly, I think for a movie where 3/4 of the movie they're not actually in danger. Technically, like they're not there's no major conflict.
Well, they're training.
They're training, which I mean they are doing a very dangerous activity, I guess. But they managed to keep the tension high almost throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then like the few like moments of relief were kind of good little character moments, I guess, for Maverick, who's one of the characters you have a lot of history with from the previous movie, so it develops him a bit more. Although it is all pretty much centered around like Goose and what happened.
The Rooster. That's his call sign. It's a terrible call sign.
But it kind of works.
Yeah, no, I get it. No,
Yeah,
it works
it
in the
kind of
context. I just think it's a bad call sign.
I thought it was good, man.
I didn't think it ever
was
dragged.
good.
My favorite thing about it was at no point did it drag. Even when it was doing the quieter.
Yeah.
You thought it dragged?
A bit towards the end, a bit. But then it
What
also
parts, though?
like without spoiling, I can't. But
Okay.
but then it also redeemed itself because it was just a little bit too predictable towards the end.
Yeah, okay.
But like some of the coolest, I guess, cinematography with the planes happened in the last few scenes. So so it kind of redeemed itself for me. I was like, okay, at least it was pretty badass.
We can talk a bit more about some of the stunts shortly when we get to action. But the one part of it that I was not 100% on board with was the love angle. I felt it. I don't know. Jennifer Connelly was great. She's really. I think Tom Cruise has been sort of moved away from being a love angle in movies for a long time. You haven't seen him been that for so long. I was like, oh, he's actually gonna. He's gonna have. He's gonna go back with like. Okay, all right. Weirded me out a little bit.
Well, they were playing off the like military, on again, off again. In another kind
of course, kind of
relationship.
No, I just don't believe I wouldn't say I don't believe Tom Cruise, not Maverick, Tom Cruise as a love interest.
Just
I find
because
it weird now.
I kind of agree with you because I'm just like you are not a sane person.
No.
And most people would be able
Yeah.
to see that. God, you know that? Did you know that Christian Bale actually used Tom Cruise as an inspiration for his character in American Psycho?
That is amazing.
Said that it was
that
like
true?
it was the empty eyes mixed with like the intense kindness.
Is that true?
Rumor.
Right, okay. I love it.
Read it on Reddit.
Love a rumor.
Yeah, but I thought that was interesting. Anyway, I agree with you, but I also think like if they could have cut something a little bit less of that.
Yeah, okay. Have you had Tom Cruise's face ruined for you? Have we talked about this?
I did see it a couple times during the movie.
It's so noticeable.
It does, but I try not to.
So for anyone who doesn't know, and I'm going to ruin Tom Cruise for you, so skip the next like 10 seconds if you don't want to know Tom Cruise's ruined face. His center parting for his tooth, his two front teeth, the center parting on the top row, is very far to the side. So
he's not like
his
aligned.
nose is aligned with one of his front two teeth. It is the weirdest shit. Let's move on to cinematography.
It gives me a headache thinking about it.
It really took me out a lot of time. I kept noticing it. So in terms of cinematography and world building, I think it's really interesting that they took what's quite an old school concept and a world that they built really well in the 80s, but they updated it really nicely.
They
I
did.
thought
By almost calling attention. There was so many odes to like your old Maverick.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
used that like it was almost like multiple times. Almost felt like that was an allusion to they were almost making fun of the old Top Gun.
Yep. Yeah,
which I thought
absolutely.
was cool.
And I can think of a lot of times in movies when you're getting the come on, you're old, or the old timer, or old dog, new tricks. Like for example, the new James Bond movies, the recent ones with Daniel Craig.
Not
Not necessarily that,
I
but the ones prior to that. So we after Casino Royale, so the ones Quantum and Skyfall, they're always putting on him like, oh, you're old and old dog, new tricks. And I'm like, I just feel like he's an old man now. Like, stop saying this. But like in this, it was like, it wasn't necessarily drilled into you. It was sort of just implied. Like the way they made fun of him and like, you know, they threw him out of the bar, for example. Like that's a lovely little scene. And then he rocks up the next day and he's the teacher. Like I liked what was going on there.
Agreed. It was wholesome. A lot of it was wholesome.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Tom Cruise didn't want to make a sequel. He literally came out and said he wasn't ready to make a sequel until he had a special story and the technology had evolved. I think that's interesting that he was interested in the technology rather than rather than it just being a good story. I mean, it had to be a good story. That's the point he was making, but like the technology had to play a big part.
What part of it did he dig into that? Like the filming or the jets?
Well, I'm going to talk a bit more about that in action specifically. One thing I found really interesting is that for a long time, in fact, most of the lead up to this coming out, there was a lot of rumors that this was going to focus on unmanned jets. And that really plays into what he was saying there. And even more interestingly, they call it out in the movie. The original rocket ship Mach 10 thing that's completely nonsense. They were flying at the beginning. They were taking the budget for that to put it into unmanned jets. And I really like that.
Because that's the future.
I thought that was a really interesting... Yeah, and I mean, how many more of these can we realistically get? So then let's talk about action then. It is an action movie at its core, right?
Yeah, I'd say it is.
Fucking exhilarating, man.
Yeah, I'd say it is.
There were times when I was like, fucking yeah.
There's a lot of cool scenes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool action sequences where you're not... It just feels real.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how else to say it. It just feels like you're in the...
It is real.
Yeah, but you kind of feel like you're in there and you're just like, holy shit.
So, all right, well, let me fill that out a bit for you then, because I mean, I've clearly done more research for this than I do most of my other movies.
Well, yeah, go ahead, man.
Well, no, it's super interesting. So, like, the actors playing the pilots, they actually had to film themselves. So they created cameras, actually IMAX cameras, that they could put in the jets with them. And they had to literally get up there, turn them on. They had to touch up their own makeup. They had to adjust the lighting, handle their own sound. And then the directors had to kind of wait on the ground and hope that what came back was good material.
Wow.
So really interesting that they were given so much responsibility. Imagine them getting up there
wow.
and they forgot to turn it on.
Imagine Tom Cruise telling them they had to do this. They'd be like, fuck, I don't want to fuck this up. This guy's intense.
Unbelievable. Well, I've got a really good bit of trivia for you at the end. Then. If you think that's funny.
I'm sure that there were some weird things that happened.
Yeah, Cruise actually put them all on like personally designed, rigorous, month-long programs to get them used to like the G-force, get their tolerance up, because it's meant to really mess you up, right? Like it can not only knock you out, but it can like put serious pressure on all your organs too. So I mean, like, imagine being like Miles Teller, who's known for doing a film about drumming, and
Dude, he did get really ripped though.
I know
It's impressive.
Honestly, they are all in incredible shape, and I thought the actors around them. I like the scene at the beginning whereby Maverick's training them, and they're all like, "Oh, if you can catch me, I'll do 200 press ups, whatever." And he's like, I'll take that bet. And then it's just like a constantly like
it's a good
returning
montage
to them
of
all
different
like doing
ones.
press ups on the forecourt.
Such a good use of an old trick montage.
Really,
yeah,
really
which is what this movie does really well.
Yeah,
like everything that you think is old and can't be renewed in a good way, like they managed to find a way to kind of use it.
Old dogs, new tricks, baby.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of the CGI then? Because there wasn't a huge amount.
I just didn't feel like it existed all that much.
Yeah, Tom Cruise just wanted to go for minimal green screen. So then, obviously, Top Gun Maverick, it's going to be about Maverick. So before we get into spoilers, he's training them. The mission they're going on's, it's a death mission. It's a suicide. Like John Hamm is like, he doesn't really care if they get out of it alive.
John Hamm plays like the dickhead general so well. Like it was perfectly cast.
Yeah, I thought he was fabulous in it. Yeah. He was really good.
Hurricane.
Yeah, Hurricane.
Or Cyclone or something.
Yeah, Cyclone. That's it, Cyclone. Yeah. And I really appreciated that. And the sort of film culminates in the fact that they're having to do this mission. I'm going to talk about the enemy in a moment because.
Who is the enemy?
One second. So they culminate in the fact that they have to fly this mission, which none of the current Top Gun crew are finding in any way themselves capable of.
I wanted to wait till
Tom Cruise
spoilers.
is like training them, and they basically get to the point of the mission. Now, the interesting part about that is I was speaking to a friend recently who's recently rewatched the original Top Gun. Yeah. And the point he made about that movie is it's quite disjointed because the first 2/3 more are them in Top Gun training school. Yeah. That ends, and then they just get deployed, and they just go on a mission. And you're like, what are they doing? Like, what's going on here? And then they fly a mission, and they succeed. Whatever. It's hot shots, and and in this, there's a through line all the way through. There's an enemy.
Yeah, it was a proper plot.
Know that they're trying to get into this. It's like a canyon, right?
It's like a canyon with a depot where there's like uranium. Uranium deposits at the bottom of the canyon in a bunker, and they're trying to basically get into this canyon. Yeah. The only way to get there, they can't really use unmanned devices because why?
I don't
Not
think
fast enough.
No, unmanned devices they couldn't get low enough. They would lose the not the radar, whatever.
Oh, the radar in the canyon would be all messed up or something.
They would basically not be able to track them. So that basically the planes have to go low enough that the radar can't see them. So along the canyon floor, basically.
Because there's also
and there are also these hypersonic missile crazy things. But
that
then
would kill the unmanned flights,
Yeah, exactly. So they have to do these manned flights. And it's a lovely setup. And that's something that apparently the original movie kind of has that disjointed nature. And this has all the way through.
And it was a believable setup. They basically were like really clear on the fact that like, you're right, you would use drones mostly. We can't for this one specific reason. They basically architected a scenario where there was like no way to use a drone. And then that played into the character plots because a lot of times during the training, Maverick can like basically call them out for being shitters because all they do nowadays is just flyovers and drop bombs. They don't have to get into dogfights. That doesn't happen anymore. And so there's a real reason for these guys who are very good to be trained by this guy that's old because he's a relic of an old age.
Absolutely. And I'm going to mention this before we move on very quickly. It is very, very, very interesting and very telling of the movie business that the enemy, they were called the enemy all the way through, was never named. It was like a rogue nation, I believe. So,
which looked very much like Russia.
It was very clearly an allegory for either Russia or China. Very clearly. Like, no question of a doubt. But they couldn't say that because China's like the biggest grossing market for movies in the world. And Russia, they make money over there. They also don't want to piss off Putin, who's doing what Putin does at the moment. Yeah. And it's a case of, it's the enemy. And I think it was the same in the first one as well. They didn't necessarily call out, but that's a good thing, I think, right? So like you look at Rambo. Rambo in the first one, he's working with ISIS to take on the Russians. Like that aged really fucking well.
Is he actually?
Yeah, genuinely.
It's not the same ISIS because ISIS is newer, isn't it?
It is a subsection part of which became ISIS.
But they don't call it ISIS.
Yes, they do. At the end of the movie, they have a spiel that comes across the screen which says like
Islamic liberation.
It genuinely says like in cooperation with our the freedom fighters of the ISIS, blah blah blah. It's like, all right, you watch it now. You're like, they need to take that out of there.
Well, I mean, like, do they?
It doesn't age well. Put it that way.
Because it's like there's. I think it's good to have historical references of like where
it's not a historical reference.
No, but like
it's a fictional movie.
No, but like where pop culture was. Like
Sure.
it points to the time the movie was made and the historical references around it. Like that's my point. Like every movie is made within the zeitgeist of that culture, and I think it adds to the mystique of the movie.
I don't think Hollywood can do that anymore because they lose out on.
They can.
cinema.
They just choose not.
They choose not to. All right, talk to me then. What were your tones and/or themes for this movie?
I didn't fill out this section because it didn't really seem all that relevant.
Well,
but
I guess
there's a lot of like mourning and what.
I guess there's a lot of letting go of the past.
Yeah.
Like, you know, accepting that you can't control everything. You know, quite generic sort of.
There's nothing super deep.
Themes. Nothing. No, but that's the point. Like, it didn't need to be. And I like that.
What about Teller? Like, surely there's some theme.
Well, that's the acceptance
his arc.
part, right? That's the acceptance of not being able to control everything, and you know, accepting who he is as a person, and that this guy isn't necessarily the enemy.
Accepting your limitations.
Maybe. Well, no, pushing past your limitations. They all had to go at Mach 3 or whatever they had to. I don't know.
Yeah, but it was kind of like you can't. Sorry, not limitations. Accepting what you can control.
That's what I said. That was literally what I said out loud. I mean, did you listen to that part? My exact words were accepting you can't control everything.
Different phrase. Different phrase.
Yeah, all right then. What are your three best and three worst?
Danger zone. Casting, man. We didn't even talk about anyone. We only talked about one person. What about Bob? How have we not talked about Bob?
Bob was great.
Bob, call sign Bob. You know he's in the Outer Range.
Is he?
He's a main character.
I put it on the list this week. It's one of the things we couldn't
main character. Bob, call sign Bob.
Bob.
Yeah, I loved all the different, Monica Barber, aka Phoenix, Bob equals Bob, Hangman, John Hamm. They're all very, very good in their roles.
Apparently Bob is a Tom Cruise thing. He likes to have a character in all of his movies called Bob for some reason. No one really knows why.
Scientology. Action was, as we've talked about, just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And there's quite a bit of good comedy in it as well.
Yeah, there are a few good little comedic moments.
Mm-hmm.
Mine are very similar. I said Miles Teller. I thought he stepped into an almost impossible role and did amazingly. How do you cast that? Unless you get the kid who literally played Goose's son in the original movie.
Do you really think it was that hard? I thought he did it well as well as he could, but I don't think it's like an uncastable spot.
I feel like it's a tough one because he's going to get a lot of pressure from lots of different people to do a role a certain way, and I think he really made it his own rather than just playing Goose again. I also had action. I thought the action obviously really, really was helped by the fact a lot of it was non-CGI. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And I also put just the nostalgia. We talked about it a minute ago. The fact that they lent on it but didn't overlean on it.
Primo. It was a good mix. There's very few movies that get that right.
Yep.
This is one of the few, right? Like, as you said, Point Break earlier did not get that right.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's very hard to do what they did.
Go and give me a worst.
Again, a bit longer than it needed to be, I think. Like maybe 15 minutes longer.
It could have been cut.
Yeah, I think We'll
talk about which bits in a moment.
Yeah. It's still Tom Cruise's smug face.
Yeah, it really is.
So you can't if you're not into that, well, don't watch this movie.
Yeah.
And maybe one too many motorcycle scenes.
I only remember one.
What do you mean? There was at least 4.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he'd be just like driving Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, he just like drives straight through security, ends up right in the hangar on a motorcycle. It's like, dude, surely somebody told you to park that away from the planes.
I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway. I liked it. I didn't even think about it.
One too many.
I can take that. All right. Mine were, and I'm going to go against what I said here a minute ago, the updated beach scene. Not because of the young actors, just because Tom Cruise didn't have to have his shirt off, man. Like, he didn't need to be in there. It's about the team bonding, and he just has to have his shirt off. It's like, come on, man, you're an old man, stop it. The love angle, like I said, nothing wrong. Just I don't see Tom Cruise as that guy anymore. I feel like he's moved past that. And the last one is the fact that everyone just seemed to hate Maverick, like wherever he went, like except outside of that group who he's with in the very first scene. Everyone just hated him.
They loved him.
Absolutely hated him. And there's
so
there's like 5 people who are like, "You're the best, man," and everyone else is like, "This fucking guy."
Even the students when he comes in, they were like really pissed. I was like, I mean, I get why Goose was. Rooster was, but like the rest of them were like, "Who's this guy?" It's like, why are you mad?
It's because they'd thrown him out of the bar the night before, and they were like, "Ah, shit, I can't believe it." But at the same time, they were like, when he's like, he says to them, you already know the book on this jet, and they're like, "Yeah, I know it."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Throw it out." It's like, why do you not like him? All right, final question before we move on to spoilers.
Yeah,
our rating system now. We don't do 10s out of 10. We don't do how many Top Guns out of Maverick. We just ask the question, is this better or worse than the most average movie we can think of, which is, in our case, 2018's Aquaman. I would love to know, DL, is this better or worse than Aquaman?
This is better than Aquaman.
Okay.
Call sign Dodger. I think that's mine. I think I'm taking Dodger. Yeah, I'm wearing a Dodgers hat.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you are. Yeah, okay.
Tommy didn't like it. Armsy.
It's the bad hair.
Armsy's not a fan. Not a fan of. It's way better than Aquaman.
It is better than Aquaman. Of course it is. Yeah. This is way better. We need to do one that's worse than Aquaman at some point soon.
Why would we? Why?
Because I like annoying you. You know I do.
Why would we?
All right, spoilers. There's not a huge amount to spoil in this movie, but let's spoil it anyway.
There's like 2 twists.
Yeah, there are.
Not even twists, but just explanations, really.
Go on, hit me.
One's a twist. That basically Maverick gets fired, and his answer to getting fired as teacher is to just, again, be a Maverick.
Yep.
And
wordplay.
Maverick's gonna Maverick.
Oh, yeah.
And just go in and do the course that they've been doing that no one can do, and just do it in like half the time that they said they needed to do it, just to prove it could be done. But not only that, to lead the mission.
Yeah. So they said the course needs to be done in 2.5 minutes, I believe. 2 minutes 30 seconds.
Is it like 3 or something?
And he puts his timer on at 2 minutes 15 seconds, and he does it in like 2 minutes 10. It's a feat of like unbelievable.
They're all jazzed.
They are
jazz fingers.
And then they ask him to lead the mission. They ask him to lead the mission.
Which I actually liked this twist.
I liked that
because the whole point was like he was a really, really, really good IC, like individual contributor, not like a people manager, not a general. Fucking, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. And his company statement was very clear.
No, but it's true. It's the equivalent of that, right?
I think the key conflict that I really liked was the fact that Maverick effectively refused to take Goose's son with him up there. And you had this one really touching scene where Maverick finally met Iceman. Val Kilmer was in it for just a split second. And Val Kilmer's advice was just like, you got to let it go. You got to let him go. You got to give him the opportunity. And the fact that Tom Cruise chose him over the big dog, you know, the guy who was like Mr. America.
I didn't agree with that decision.
Me neither.
I was shocked.
But he knew that Rooster was more of a team player, and I think that really speaks volumes in the movie when Tom Cruise gets shot down behind enemy lines.
This is the part where I kind of was like, cut this bit.
Me too. They finish the mission, so they get through. They get through the unflyable canyon. They drop bombs without the satellite navigation somehow and hit the thing.
Goes blind.
They all go up in the air. But what happens is when they go up the other side of the canyon, they all get their rockets firing at them, right? Because they've come out of the no radar zone.
Yeah, they knew this was coming, but they were all gonna be in. They basically come out at like a straight up.
Yep.
A mountainside, and like massive G's come out blind.
Yep.
And almost get killed by the rockets, and
So Tom Cruise gets shot down. He goes down, Maverick, Tom Cruise,
but he goes down saving Goose.
He does, and then what happens is
son.
He does. Rooster. And then what happens is, as Tom Cruise is about to get destroyed by an enemy chopper, Black Hawk, in comes old mate Rooster and saves his life. So they save each other. They both go down. It then turns into like almost a bit of an Uncharted mission for like 10 minutes. They're just like trekking through the snow trying to find the enemy base,
making kind of dumb jokes.
And then they have like the little moment where they hug and stuff. It's a bit much, but then they find the old jet that they had. I forgot the name of it in the first Top Gun movie.
Yeah, it's like
just happens to be one left in the hangar. just happens to
It's
be.
just a bit too Hollywood. It's a
It
bit
is a
too
little-
storybook.
I
And
kinda liked
you
it,
knew
though.
Hangman. You knew there, and then they at the end of it, there's another dogfight
Yeah.
between two people that don't quite realize that
Yeah.
it's their because they stole this jet. They're like, is this our mate or is it
Yeah.
not? And then you kind of figure out that they do know, and they get into a dogfight again. And at the very end,
The new jets are way outpowering the old.
yeah,
one.
but they're way better, and they will eventually kind of beat them. And
Yeah.
Hangman obviously comes in and saves
Saves
the
the
day. At
I
the
love that he
last
got his
minute.
one kill. I thought that was amazing. That's one of my favorite bits of the movie.
It was a good joke.
I really like. Yeah, it was. It
And
was a good joke.
the moves though in that last battle sequence were cool. How the
Wow.
enemy plane just like 180, and they're like even Maverick's like, what the fuck was that? Like
Yeah.
it was really cool. Like there was just some really cool or like when he like dodged it, like one of them had shot and was like dying, and he led the bullet of the other one into the one that was falling down or something.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Unreal.
It was really cool.
So cool.
Yeah.
The only thing then that like that maybe I'll give you that. Maybe it went on a bit too long at the end there.
Yeah.
They didn't need that extra scene. The bit that really got me was when the very end of it genuinely turned into Hot Shots. Like I don't know how many times you've seen that parody. It became a parody of itself.
Yeah.
So as they're taking off from the enemy base to go through this whole rigmarole, they knock off one of the front wheels.
Yeah.
So the plane has to land
Yeah.
by just like slamming,
Flopping.
belly flopping onto the
plop.
carrier.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And that's literally the end of Hot Shots. It's amazing. I love it. And honestly, like I couldn't have thought of a better way for this. If that's the end of Top Gun, amazing.
Yeah, agreed. It was a good, nice little ending. It was a little too Hollywood for me. I would have been okay with a bit more tragedy, but it's fine. The end of the day,
Would you have
Like,
liked to see Tom Cruise die?
I would have.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
Um,
just in general.
I would have.
Just joking, Tom.
You know what?
Don't find
Like,
me.
putting it out there. Yeah.
It's time. It's time, Tom.
Scientology gods, don't kill me. Oh, I'm scared.
No, I would have liked. I think that would have been a great way to hand the baton on.
Yeah, I agree. But they didn't do it, and it's okay because it wasn't like a Marvel movie where the last battle you're kind of like, why am I watching this?
Yes.
It was like actually a really
agreed.
cool battle, and so
It wasn't
at the end of the
massive
day,
CGI
Yeah.
monsters and
it wasn't
dragons.
like
fighting each
this
other.
part of the movie, right? No, I was still intrigued, so it's okay. It redeemed itself.
I'm 100% with you on that. Final questions.
Yes.
I need to think of one.
Got a bit ahead of yourself there.
Yeah, it is. Hang on.
Can I just say
Yes.
it's a bit interesting how like they go from like when they're testing the new like simulation and having to do it in that time, how every single one of them like massively fails, cannot do it, isn't even close.
Hangman gets close.
Hangman gets close. He's the only one.
But his team die.
Yeah, and his team die. But but he wasn't on the mission, so that's my point. All the other people fail, and then they're just like suddenly ready after Maverick does it.
Because they seen he's done it, man. They know they can do it
But
too.
no one had completed it at all, and then they're like,
They
"You're
weren't
ready
great.
to do
They
it."
weren't great, were they?
No,
Not gonna lie.
they were failing left and right.
They really were. Look, I just like the tension that whole thing built up, and I thought it was natural and it felt earned.
Yeah.
All right then, would you like some true or false trivia?
Sure,
Let's do this.
I'm ready.
True or false, DL? The shirtless beach football montage had to be shot twice because Tom Cruise did not find the first version good enough.
Fuck, I hope that's true.
What do you think?
That's true.
It is true.
Oh,
Now,
what a weirdo.
This has a fabulous story. Listen to this. The reshoot placed additional pressure on the actors to get their ripped bodies back to reshoot the scene. Cast member Glenn Powell, our favorite, recounted, "We shot it, and that night we all went out for milkshakes and tater tots and had a splurge. Everyone grabbed a beer." And a week later, Tom's like, "Guys, we've got to shoot it again. It wasn't good enough." And then they had to go back into the gym day and night to get back into shape. So the sequence being used is the sequence has been used very heavily to promote the movie, so they had to get in real shape for that iconic moment. Like, imagine Tom Cruise been like, "Guys, come on," and you've all had like 6 beers, your
What a
guts
weirdo.
hanging.
What a weirdo.
Ah,
like, your
man.
abs aren't tight enough. I still think he might be swing both
In
ways.
the closet,
Yeah.
like that South Park episode. I mean, very
Right.
potentially. All right, so
Yeah.
that's the first one, right? Second one, I may have given this away more than I should have done. Special cameras, which are already in fighter pilots, were used to film the shots.
Sure. True.
I gave it away earlier. It's actually false. Cameras had to be.
Oh yeah, you did give it
I
away.
did. Cameras had to be specially developed for the film in order to shoot the cockpit scenes, shot entirely for IMAX.
They wouldn't use the shitty camera they have for the film.
I know.
That was a pretty.
Why
dumb,
would they?
That was a pretty dumb one. For me.
And I've also given this one away like an idiot. Val Kilmer's dialogue was all AI since he can no longer speak.
True.
So a company named Sonatic developed the voice AI that Val Kilmer used. I think they did the Luke Skywalker ones as well.
True.
I think they did. Look,
you just gave all of them away.
I did, didn't I? Look, ultimately, that is our rambling overview of the movie. I had a blast with this.
I did.
I thought it was really great. DL, do you have any correspondence this week?
I don't.
DL, please pick up your phone.
Do
We got
you?
correspondence. Yeah, we do.
You always ask. I never
That's
do.
our theme. That's our theme, baby. Do you like our theme?
That was nice. Yeah.
We had a couple of people responding this week to our calls about Doctor Strange. Now, a couple of people have said to me that have said to us over our messages that it took them a little bit of time to get to see it. I know a couple of friends of the show have been away and about. Friend of the show, Joe, said he really loved the Doctor Strange movie. He thought it was great. However, it had a lot of flaws, and he feels like there were a lot of missed opportunities. How do you feel about that?
I don't know if it had a lot of flaws. It had some definite flaws.
Like the smartest man alive not been that smart?
Yeah, sure. That one.
Not ideal?
No.
Not ideal?
I agree there were missed opportunities, though.
Well, friend of the show, Matt, agrees with that. He said, just in Doctor Strange, loved it. Really interesting way they took it and how it developed. The last minute was an eye-opener. Puns intended.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, no, I didn't like that bit at the end. Anyway, thank you both friends of the show. If you want to get in contact with us, hit us up at Podcast Assemble on Instagram.
Podcast Assemble.
The Podcast Assemble at gmail.com.
Yeah. Please do send us correspondence, send us memes, send us what you think about the third eye that Tommy doesn't like. I don't really get why. It's part of the comics, isn't it?
Like friend of the show, Cat Pat did. She sent us this week that apparently, they are making a Hunger Games prequel. Did you know about this?
Yuck.
And
there's not even a book.
No, there's not. I mean, I didn't like the original ones. Did you?
The first one was all right.
So I have this weird mental block with the books, right? Now, hear me out. So when I was about 25, when I was a significantly younger man than I am now, I broke my leg pretty badly playing soccer. You know this, and my dad brought me the books in the hospital because I was in hospital for like a good few weeks, and he brought me the books. And every time I picked them up to read them, like I had like my leg started to hurt, or a nurse had to come over to give me an injection, and I just every time just kept putting it down. I never opened them again. I never opened them. I got past the first like 3 pages, and I think about this block on the books.
The first one's all right. Then it becomes a tweeny love fest.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about them.
Have you seen the movie?
I have not.
The first, I would watch the first one, and it's also got what's her name? She's a good actress.
Oh yeah, Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah,
she's great. She's the only shining light in those X-Men movies, kind of, till she gives up caring. All right, thank you, friend of the show, Cat Pat. We do really appreciate it. Final bit of correspondence this week. All right, friend of the show, Liam, this week sent us a TV show to watch, and I genuinely do appreciate it.
We need to build a list of this. I'm forgetting already.
We need to have like an official Podcast Assemble friends of the show list that can go on our Instagram. This week we were recommended, and I've mentioned a couple times on the show, I really like sports documentaries. We were at the time we were actually talking about Ted Lasso, and he mentioned Ted Bundy. He mentioned that there is a show called Winning Time, which is about the rise of the Lakers dynasty. I don't know if you know about this.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen it on.
You've seen about it. It's got John C. Reilly in it and a bunch of other well-known actors. Apparently, it's really, really good.
I'm in. It's Magic Johnson era.
Yes, that's the point. Yeah. It's when they brought in Magic Johnson, I believe.
Yeah.
Let me check the IMDb score before we move on for this. Just so it's an 8.4 on IMDb. We will definitely check this out. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for your correspondence. We genuinely really do appreciate it. And keep it coming. Where can they send it to, DL?
They can send it to the podcast assemble, as we've said, or at gmail.com, or podcast assemble on Instagram.
Man.
Send us a review, send us memes, send us some correspondence. We will find you.
A like or a mention.
Yes, like or mention. Until next time, though, thank you, Tommy.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate it.
Guys.
Thank you, DL. Tally ho.
Let's get it. I forgot about that.